Two AI heavyweights are battling for the top spot: Google's Gemini at its most powerful tier and OpenAI's O3 reasoning model. On one side, Google is pushing huge context windows, native audio, deep integrations across Android and Workspace, and a new Deep Think mode. On the other, OpenAI's O3 series brings slow and smart deliberate reasoning, image-aware problem-solving, and agentic tool use across ChatGPT. Today, we're comparing real strengths, real weaknesses, and who actually wins for creators, coders, researchers, and everyday users. Let's start with what these models actually are. Google's Ultra tier began as Gemini 1.0 Ultra and has evolved into the Gemini 2.x family at the high end, led by Gemini 2.5 Pro and its speed-first sibling 2.5 Flash. Think of Ultra as the flagship capability level. Massive context windows, powerful coding, and native multimodal abilities. OpenAI's O3 sits at the top of its reasoning lineup. It's built to think longer before it answers, to plan multi-step solutions, and to decide when to use tools like browsing, code execution, or file analysis, without you micromanaging every step. Reasoning is the headline clash. OpenAI's O-series changed the game by spending more time thinking, and O3 is the most deliberate yet. It's especially strong on math, science, and complex coding tasks that need careful step-by-step logic. It can read charts, whiteboards, or sketches and actually reason with those images, rotating or zooming them if that helps solve the problem. Gemini fights back with Deep Think on 2.5 Pro, an enhanced mode that gives it extra time and budget to plan, check its work, and handle hard math and competitive coding. In practice, both can tackle Olympiad-style questions, long debugging sessions, and multi-constraint planning. If you want the model to slow down and think like a consultant or a lab partner, O3 feels laser-focused on that mission. If you want a balance of strong reasoning with speed and live product integrations, 2.5 Pro with Deep Think is compelling. Now, multimodality. Both can read and analyze images. Both can work across text, code, and visuals. Google has leaned into native audio and live voice experiences, turning Gemini into a conversational assistant that can listen, speak, and reason in real time. That matters if you're building voice apps, call center co-pilots, or hands-free mobile tools. OpenAI's O3 is excellent at visual reasoning and can chain images and tools as part of a plan. Think, read a messy spec PDF, write code to parse the data, produce a chart, and then explain the result. If your workflow mixes documents, spreadsheets, charts, and code execution, O3's agentic tool use lands with fewer prompts. Let's talk context window. Google's high-end Gemini models made long context a mainstream feature. Think massive document packs, hours of transcripts, or full code bases dropped straight into the prompt. For research teams and video editors working with long scripts and transcripts, that's a huge quality-of-life upgrade. OpenAI has expanded context across its lineup too, but Google's pitch is simple: bring the whole project in at once and keep working without slicing it into chunks. If your use case is read everything and synthesize, Gemini's long context comfort is a real edge. On coding, it's closer than ever. O3 is designed to think longer and reduce major errors, which shows up in difficult debugging and refactoring. It's great at planning a multi-file change, writing tests, and then stepping through a failing case. Gemini 2.5 Pro counters with strong competitive coding performance and tight integration into Google's ecosystem. If you live in Google Cloud, Firebase, or Chrome automations, Gemini ties in nicely, including computer use capabilities that can operate a browser or app workflows. If you're deep in the terminal and want an agent that executes Python locally, reasons through errors, and iterates, O3's approach feels like a patient senior engineer. What about speed and throughput? Google maintains a two-track strategy: a flagship Pro model for intelligence, and Flash models for low latency and high volume. That means you can prototype with Pro and deploy at scale on Flash when you need fast, cheap endpoints. OpenAI's lineup mirrors this with smaller, faster models, but O3 itself is intentionally slower when you crank up the think time. For real-time UX, chat apps, voice assistants, or high-traffic endpoints, Gemini's Flash tier is very hard to beat. For fewer but harder queries, data analysis, proofs, security audits, or intricate coding, letting O3 think pays off. Ecosystem integration is where philosophies diverge. Google is embedding Gemini across Android, Chrome, and Workspace, Docs, Sheets, Gmail, Meet, plus Search's AI experiences. If your team already runs on Google, those hooks shave minutes off everything you do. OpenAI's strength is the ChatGPT toolbench, browsing, data analysis with Python, image generation, file interpretation, plus a growing universe of custom tools and enterprise controls. If you want an AI foreman that picks the right tool mid-task, searching, coding, graphing, then writing the executive summary, O3's agentic orchestration inside ChatGPT is excellent. Let's hit reliability and guardrails. Both vendors hardened safety this year. Gemini's app and developer stack now ship with clearer usage tiers and live audio capabilities, while adding safeguards for risky prompts and connected apps access. OpenAI rebuilt safety training for O3 and added system-level monitors that flag dangerous requests, like bio or malware scenarios. In day-to-day use, you'll see both models refuse more edge case requests, cite steps more carefully, and structure outputs that are easier to verify. For regulated industries and schools, those guardrails matter. Pricing and plans shift often, but here's the practical takeaway. On the consumer side, Google's paid tiers unlock priority access, long context, native audio, image and video generation allowances, and deep research style features. OpenAI's Plus/Team/Enterprise tiers unlock O3 variants and full tool access inside ChatGPT. For builders, Google gives you a Pro for Brains, Flash for Scale path. OpenAI gives you O3 for Brains, smaller models for scale, plus a mature agentic runtime in ChatGPT and the API. If you run lots of quick calls, summaries, light Q&A, real-time voice, Gemini Flash tiers are cost-effective. If you run fewer, harder calls, deep analysis, model-driven planning, complex code, O3 justifies its higher per-call cost by reducing rework. Mobile and voice are becoming the next battleground. Google can inject Gemini straight into Android, navigation, and live phone experiences, and it's rolling out native audio models tuned for back-and-forth conversation. OpenAI is making ChatGPT feel like an actual coworker that uses tools on your behalf, generates files, and adapts to your projects over time. If your product is a voice interface, Gemini's real-time audio is a perk. If your product is an AI analyst or engineer that must work inside a session, search, code, calculate, visualize, O3's planning and tool use shine. So who wins? The answer depends on what you're doing. If you're a researcher or journalist dragging huge archives into the prompt and asking for rigorous synthesis, Gemini's long context comfort and deep think mode are excellent. If you're a developer or analyst who needs an AI that can reason with images, write code, run that code, and stitch results into a final deliverable, without you hand-holding, O3 feels like the sharper instrument. If you're shipping a consumer app that demands sub-second responses at scale, Gemini's Flash models are optimized for that. If you're building an internal agent that must plan, verify, and produce fewer but higher stakes answers, financial models, security reviews, architectural design, O3's Think Longer philosophy pays dividends. And if you live in a specific ecosystem, let that guide you. Deep in Google's world, Gemini integrates everywhere you already work. Deep in ChatGPT workflows with custom tools and code execution, O3 is the natural upgrade. Here's the bigger picture. Both companies are converging. Google is adding more explicit thinking and agentic computer use. OpenAI is expanding multimodality and live experiences. The AI war won't be decided by a single benchmark. It'll be won by who solves real user problems with the least friction. For now, call it a split decision. If you want breadth, long context, live audio, tight Android, and workspace integration, Gemini at the Ultra/Pro tier is the play. If you want depth, slow, careful reasoning that chains tools and turns messy inputs into finished work, OpenAI O3 takes the round. The real win is for users. Whichever you choose, the ceiling just got higher.